The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This for UFC 247, Jones versus Reyes from Houston, Texas. Want to let everyone know that we're recording this show a little bit early because my co-host and your friend and mine, Cody Saftic, going away on vacation next week, and we had to get her done. So this is dropping on a Saturday, recording on a Wednesday night. So if people are looking and going like, that line's not even the same, here's your explanation for why lines may be a little bit different.
Yeah, we've also got a couple fights on the card that just got added this morning, so we don't actually have lines. We don't have DraftKings pricing, sorry. So we're just going to have to essentially make some assumptions, see who we like, break down as much as we can. It is a little bit in advance, but we have a great tradition of not missing cards. And so this is a Jones one. We can't really miss it anyways for the people, but I'll do the same. We just had to make some adjustments and record a little bit earlier.
Before we get to all of that, we have winners from last week. We have Singy, S-I-N-G-H-Y 18. Congratulations, you won 20 DK dollars. If you want to be like Singy 18 and win 20 DK dollars this week, here's what you got to do. You got to leave or give the episode a like. Nothing is possible unless you give the episode a like. Leave your DraftKings handle and say who was the least deserving title contender of all time.
Really?
UFC title contender.
Really? Can I change it up on the spot? I'll do.
Well, now people are going to be confused.
People are going to be confused. But here's
you want to switch it? Because we, as is tradition, we did not actually have this discussion beforehand.
No, we didn't.
So I just rolled with that because it's the first thing that came to mind.
Okay. So as you were teeing it up, I was like, son of a bitch is going to throw it to me, and I don't got nothing. So I thought of something on the spot.
No, I took it.
And then you
I took it, but now my thing is not good enough for you. So let's hear it. Let's have the people tell the people what they have to do.
Juan Adams is a professional getting ready for fisticuffs, and yet his kryptonite is the goddamn Little Debbie's. What is your kryptonite? What is the one, your cheat, your snack, that one thing where it's like, son of a bitch, I do enjoy that. Leave it in the comment section below. Is it Twinkies? Is it Oreos? Is it Kit Kat bars? Fuck, I'm a Twix guy myself. Also, combos, it's like fake cheese stuffed into a little pretzel. Son of a bitch. Those things are addictive. What is your snack food that you just can't have enough of?
Give the episode a like, DK handle, and what's yours? What is your food kryptonite?
I know you're a Domino's guy, but that's a pizza. You must have like a snack that's a go-to, even from your childhood. Cookies and cream, like, oh man.
I mean, I'm a real simpleton. Like
ice cream? You're an ice cream guy? Not really.
No.
I've never seen you have ice cream, actually.
Not really. I'd like ice cream, but I don't buy ice cream anymore. I have no self-control when it comes to a lot
so
of
what's
things.
your weakness? You used to be fat. What's your weakness? Because there has to be something.
I mean, it was like carbs in general, but like if I'm off, and actually right now I haven't been doing keto for a little bit. After the Super Bowl, we're getting back on the train.
Back on board.
But I mean, the one real weakness that I have is like, just honestly, this is like so poor, but just bagels, and then I melt cheese on them, and then like I'll dip it in like HP sauce.
Holy shit! Eh? I've never heard of that, so that qualifies. Let us know in the comments.
But I can eat a 6-pack of bagels, man. Like shit can get real fast.
Bulk season.
If you want to win 100 DK bucks.
Is that still going? Is it every week?
It's going, baby.
Oh,
baby. I mean, I don't know when Pat draws. Don't shoot the messenger.
Sure.
But if you want to win 100 DK dollars, what you got to do is, wherever you download podcasts, give the episode a 5-star review, leave your DraftKings handle, say something that you like about the show, like, hey, Cody's not sponsored by Ruka Gym anymore. Greasy Theory alert. I feel like you're on the take from Ruka.
Well, I'd be wearing the hat right now.
I know, that's what you threw me off. I was thinking about it coming into this week. So
I need a haircut. My beard needs a trim. I'm all out of it of sorts.
But yeah, Pat will follow up on the DK $100 giveaway, and that's for whether it's iTunes or Stitcher. There's so many different websites. So there have been people being like, "How do I make a review?" To get the $100, You gotta do a little bit of legwork. You gotta figure this. You gotta figure this shit. I actually don't know how to do it.
Just
Like,
Google it. Just fucking Google
if you're
it.
on Stitcher, I don't know how to do it.
Right,
So
fair
it is what it is. But 100 DK bucks could be yours if you want to do that, and it helps out the show, helps us reach a bigger audience. And we are on the climb recently. Got to thank all of our fans for doing that recently. Like, our numbers are going up all over the place. So.
Thank you to everybody.
Good times had by all. Anyway, I think that was the longest intro we've ever had. Let's get into the actual action here. John Bones Jones takes on Dominic Reyes. John Jones is a minus 440 favorite. Dominic Reyes plus 350. I mean, you're
John
just
Jones
begging me to parlay. Add John Jones to parlays, and I'll be your Huckleberry. This is the guy who's never really lost. Obviously, the one blemish on his career was 12-6 elbows against Matt Hamill way back when.
And his no contest, it was him putting a shin upside a man's head.
He's literally ran through the entire division, and we have Dominic Reyes here who's 12-0, and good on him. He gets his shot, but there's been many of undefeated and top level talents who have suffered the same demise against John Jones. He's just so good anywhere. The guy was taking down Daniel Cormier. The guy has a freakishly long reach and everything like that. This may be one of his first opponents at 205 that is at least as tall as him, or maybe even a little bit taller.
Tall, rangy guy, yeah.
But it's John Jones, man. I feel like it's almost too low even still. It's John Jones. John Jones, maybe he's not taking this fight camp seriously.
Yeah, that's
all
what you always
that
gotta
type of
wonder.
stuff. If you add them to parlays, and it's parlays from this card, if you're feeling queasy when you get to the final, fight of whatever parlay it's on, it's an easy hedge out. I don't see Dominic Reyes going off at worse than plus 300, so you're gonna get at least that as a way to hedge out if you want to. It's John, I don't know what else I can really say. He's the best of all time.
He's the
And
greatest
you know
talent.
how much that hurts me to say it, but Khabib just hasn't done it for the amount of time that John Jones has.
Yeah.
This is John Jones, man. He's minus 440. I added Macy Barber at minus 1,000 to a parlay. You think I'm not going to add John Jones against anybody at minus 440? Let's go.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Listen, you're getting the greatest fighter, barring aside the whole steroid thing, you're getting the greatest fighter to do it. You're looking at a guy that's, not only has he defeated everybody he's come in contact with, he's lost very few rounds in between. Yeah, how can you, for 440, how can you go against this guy? But we also got to break down at least the other side of it. And for as much as Dominic Reyes has really not fought anybody, coming off a win over a ballooned up Chris Weidman.
That's my boy.
Barely scraped by Volkan Oezdemir. A lot of people believing that he lost that fight against Volkan Oezdemir. It's like, what could he possibly present John Jones? And it's a case of John Jones would likely have to defeat himself. When he doesn't go in there, I'm not saying it's a camp issue. I'm not saying it's a preparation issue. I'm not saying it's a cocaine before the fight issue. Just sometimes he's not motivated when he's in there. And when he does that, he usually lays up some type of an egg. And you look at a couple recent examples of that. The OSP, that's not a recent example. That fight's a long ass time ago. But it's like he's not motivated for it. It's his first fight of coming back from suspension, and he just goes through the motions. But the last fight against Thiago Santos, it's kind of the same thing. It's a split decision win. I don't understand why. Thiago Santos has 2 blown out knees. He's just swinging for the fences. It's just John sometimes just doesn't go for it. His killer instinct gone. We say this guy's the greatest fighter of all time, and him and George, 2 of the 3 greatest fighters of all time. And why I personally believe Khabib is the man is Khabib goes out there and he finishes these guys. Whereas as much as Jones has finishes on his record, it's a lot of going through the motion against a lot of these guys.
I mean, Khabib, everyone would always say that he was a decision machine.
Of course.
Leading up until most recently. It's just funny for you to say that he's a finisher now.
Well, he dominates like George. George used to hold guys down and dominate them. Khabib used to hold guys down and dominate them. But now he just keeps working, whether he's trying to knock you out. And now he's got skills on his feet. He's got submission skills. He's a threat everywhere. Jones is a great wrestler, but it's not like he goes out there with the game plan of just taking guys down and doing that. He seemingly is a good grappler. I mean, he competes in grappling tournaments still to this day. Everyone says, good submissions. Got submissions on his record against guys like Vitor Belfort back in the day. Listen, he's twice Vitor's size. Vitor's on short notice. Whatever. But, he's a black belt, and it was a cool little submission. That the guy can submit guys, but that's not his game plan. And for the knockout power, no fucking knockout power. You're not taking out Thiago Santos, and you're not taking out Anthony Smith. The TKO over Alexander Gustafsson, largely shadowed for me, because this is Gus done. Basically borderline retirement at the time. Lots of injuries. Coming off a long layoff. Like, it just wasn't him. It was as much he just couldn't take more than 3 rounds of action and kind of succumb to it. But Jones is not a big finishing type of guy.
No, definitely not.
Right. So now he says, who am I going to fight? He's looking for a big fight. He's looking for an intriguing fight. People are talking about maybe going to heavyweight. Geez, you know what? Maybe I take the Brock Lesnar fight. There was talks about him, Brock. Maybe I take the Stipe fight. You're telling me you wouldn't be in for Jones versus Stipe? Fuck yeah, you would be. And God knew I don't want to see that. But all the same, it's like there's some intriguing talks. Who does he end up with? Dominic Reyes. It's not the type of opponent that's going to motivate you. So we don't know if he's going to go in there. You know, John Jones looking to make a name for himself. He's made the name for himself. John Jones, he doesn't care if you boo. He is fine with just doing enough to win. So now Reyes just has to outwork him. And whereas I don't think Reyes is going to do that, I'm with you. John Jones 440. I'm going to take Jones by decision. Again, we just talked about I don't think he's got great finishing ability. But Jones
there isn't a price on that yet. But.
Jones's list of opponents is Thiago Santos is an orthodox fighter. Anthony Smith is an orthodox fighter. Gustafsson's an orthodox fighter. Cormier is an orthodox fighter. Oven St. Preux is actually a switch hitting fighter. Back again, Cormier, orthodox fighter. Glover's orthodox. Gustafsson's orthodox. Chael's a southpaw. But Chael only fights southpaw because he shoots from that stance, and he's a middleweight. Vitor's a southpaw, but he's a fucking middleweight as well. And Lyoto Machida was a southpaw, but Lyoto gave him some trouble in the first round. Might have won the first round.
OSP was him coming off of a 2-year layoff.
Yeah, and OSP didn't really do much either. He got up from the takedowns. That was the biggest takeaway I had. It was like, holy shit, this guy with no jiu-jitsu seemingly just stood up every time Jones did get him down. So when I think about Reyes, he's a legitimate southpaw. He's 6'4", he's rangy. Rangy guys have given Jones some problems in the past, like Gustafsson back in the day. Southpaws have given him trouble in the past. This is a young, hungry contender. This is his fucking Super Bowl. Paul.
Is this his Super Bowl?
Whereas this is another day for John Jones, right? So you have to have faith in John just not shooting himself in the foot to lose this fight. But I can't just completely discredit this man, Dominic Reyes, as a non-contender. It's like he's probably top 3 or 4 guys in the division. He's going to be highly motivated, and he's got a good, appropriate skill set.
My concern about Jones by decision is just, can Reyes go 5 rounds? He's looked pretty, after 3 rounds in this, like the Volkan fight, like he wasn't looking like he had tons of energy. But that being said, he was able to put OSP away in the dying seconds.
So that's what I was going to counter with, is that in that fight, he goes a very strong 3 rounds and he lands something like 120 significant strikes. Whereas versus in 3 rounds and almost knocks him out at the end of the third. Versus Jones's last fight against Thiago Santos, he landed like 61 significant strikes. Now that's a little bit misleading because Thiago Santos had the blown out knees. So he just starts swinging bombs. So it's very hard to engage this guy and throw combinations like, what the fuck? He's only looking to bomb on me. So that's why there's a decrease of numbers there. But what I'm saying is if Reyes is in great shape, great camp, and everything points to this is so big for him that he should be a career best. He's 28 years old?
This is your moment. This is your moment to become a superstar.
Yeah, he's got some power. He put Weidman down, which I don't think is all that impressive these days. But, the guy's got power. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. He can wrestle. He's got all the skills, It's just we're going against a generational talent who's only 32 and has literally he has to defeat himself in order to lose this fight. 440 is the kind of price tag you go for. 540 is not the kind of price tag I'd go for. But again, it's reasonable now, and I think it's reasonable by decision that Jones.
Yeah, by decision there isn't a prop out for that yet. But for the fight to go to decision is plus 180, so that should give you some nice. Should give you actually a pretty nice number if you really do like Jones by decision. So it's plus 180 for it to go decision.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty.
I imagine you're gonna get probably close to even money.
When was the last?
Maybe even plus.
Quickly putting you on the spot, and then we'll move on. But when was the last time you watched Jones? Jones is a big talent. Everybody always watches Jones. The fans, casual fans, they watch Jones. When was the last time you watched John Jones and you were generally impressed? Like, wow, this guy's got it. This guy's extremely talented.
Second Cormier fight.
3 fights back. That's the fight he tests positive for steroids. Since then, he's clean. The Gustafsson fight was not impressive, and the Anthony Smith fight was horrendous, and the Thiago Santos fight was horrendous. Yeah. So, he may be considered on the backswing here.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I don't know, man. I'm talking myself into a pass, but I also completely hear what you're saying. How does Jones lose to fucking Dominic Reyes? But it's Torches get passed from time to time.
Yeah,
440 is
I
a
mean,
good price. So
I remember I kind of thought about this week when I was just like, I was trying to think of Reyes' path to victory and stuff. And I mean, I was blinded. Remember Garbrandt versus Cruz, and we're just like, if he's gonna win, it's gonna be by knockout. There's no way that he pieces up Dominic Cruz over the course of 5 rounds. And what happened? That was Cody Garbrandt's Super Bowl, and he showed up that day, and he pieced up Cruz at Cruz's game.
Yeah.
So
you're 100% right with that.
the torch does get passed sometimes.
440. Man.
I'm still. It's John Jones. I'm still gonna parlay him, but maybe I hedge out a little bit more than I would,
If I'm sitting
I
at the
would
end of the
normally.
night, you, just like you said, put him on parlays. And at the end of the night, I'm not going like, I got a generational talent. I'm like, woohoo! I'm hedging this son of a bitch.
Yeah,
out.
fair.
Okay, fair enough. That's how we'll leave.
All right, we got Valentina Shevchenko taking on Caitlin Chookagian. Valentina Shevchenko minus 1,100 favorite. Chookagian can be had 4+ 700. Hey, I'm gonna lay this one out real easy. I don't think we have to talk about this one very long. What shot does Chookagian really have? She's not the better striker.
No.
Not the better grappler. I legitimately don't see a path to victory for her.
Okay, so she's plus 700 versus an 11-1 favorite in Valentina Shevchenko. So obviously she's not expected to win here. But if the question is what is her path to victory, outworker, stay on the outside, run, dance the entire time, and just fight the Elias Theodorou bullshit game plan of rinky dink and get the fuck out of Dodge.
That shit ain't gonna
No,
work.
no, I don't think the
At
judges.
this level,
No,
I
I don't.
don't
Yeah, getting a championship fight.
We're in Texas
especially.
though. Not that means anything for her, but bad decisions can be had in Texas.
No, because Valentina's going to come out with a cowboy hat, some boots on, and a gun around her waist, and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, she spent 5 years here. She's one of us." Like I don't know. I don't think that. Yeah, the game plan would have to be engaged to get the decision anyhow, and I don't think that Chookagian's going to want to engage. She's not going to be able to take her down. She's going to be continuously. She can't throw combinations because she's got to be worried about getting taken down. Valentina's a complete package, and whereas like someday someone's going to come along for that torch passing moment, like this isn't it. She's run right through all the contenders. So now you have to look at like, okay, do we have any name fighters for her to fight? No, we actually don't. Do we have anybody on who's on like a solid win streak? Yeah, we do. Caitlin Chookagian. Outside of her fight with Liz Carmouche, she's looked pretty good. Liz Carmouche is not even in the division anymore. Valentina just fought Liz Carmouche. We've done that. It's like you're running out of contenders. It's just going through the motions. Now the problem is we can't get any value off 11-1. Even if we're trying to put this on parlays, it's just not even worth it. Because again, could she blow out her knee? Could she roll something? Could something fluky happen? Like, it's a crazy sport. So
this
you
fight
have
to
to
go,
figure
this fight to go to decision is minus 215. So I actually think I would be more likely for Valentina inside the distance if this is the props that we're putting out there. Plus 165 for it not to go to decision.
I'm actually going with her by decision. I think that she takes the decision. The fight go to decision, like you said, the numbers 240. But yeah, the consensus is the fight's probably going 5. And with an 11-1 favorite, the defending champion, one of the pound for pound greats, certainly in women's fighting. Yeah, okay, we're fully on board for Shevchenko to get the victory. She'll get the decision victory. If you look at how did she finish this fight, right? How did she finish this fight? Well, she'd have to have somebody engage her. Like, yeah, okay, she kicked Jessica Eye in the head in the outside distance.
She submitted Juliana Pena, who was way bigger than her.
Juliana Pena took her down, ended up on top, and got armbarred, right? She was engaging her. Chookagian's not going to actively engage her. And because Valentina knows she's the superior striker, maybe she doesn't really want to engage her on the ground either. Maybe she's going to be comfortable with just fighting this girl. But Liz Carmouche did not engage. Did not engage. What was the result?
Decision.
A boring-ass decision. Caitlin Chookagian, not known for engaging. And also, she hasn't been finished. So she has a proven track record that she can take a punch. She doesn't usually take them because she's always backpedaling. It's just kind of like a styles make fights type of clash where Valentina's just going to walk forward on this girl and she's just going to bail out. And I do see that going.
Jessica Eye. That head up to the dome. Like that was something serious. I don't think the girls in this division are ready for that. Chookagian included.
You and I have said this for a long time. Caitlin Chookagian is a poor version of
Holly Holm.
And Valentina Shevchenko and Holly Holm tried to not engage her.
There was a big size disparity.
And I fell asleep on Sean McCormick's floor because it was not a great fight.
I bet Shevchenko, so I was
which
all
is
for
dog,
it.
yeah, dog play, huge.
Yeah.
It's just I was just like, wow, nothing's going on. But again, that's how the style clash went. So Chookagian fights the similar style.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards
Just
decision
less
first.
athletic, smaller.
Yeah, and that's the only way to try to improve. on that a
Shevchenko's
lot.
frankly improved a bunch since then too. I think like her
She's
whole,
sick.
her whole game. She's amazing.
Sick. She's sick.
She's amazing. 125 pound men, generational talent. All right, we got this one's Dusty AF. Juan Adams minus 230 taking on Justin Tafa plus 190. I've never seen a line that's more dog or pass than this one right here. I don't know how you'd go and bet Juan Adams at minus 230. That's absurd. I know Tafa looked pretty awful. He's super green, but if you just get some heavyweights getting tired and swinging and banging on each other, I'm going to take the plus 190 underdog in this spot every single time. I know Juan Adams wrestled out of Virginia military, but we've seen this guy's gas tank, and you were talking about him loving his Miss Debbie's, is it?
Little Debbie's.
Little Debbie's.
Yeah.
Not in my wheelhouse, but yeah, like we've seen him, we've seen him struggle with his cardio and stuff like that. He can't wrestle for 3 rounds. That's the reason why he probably doesn't go after the takedowns all that much.
Yeah, but does he have to do it for 3 rounds here, or does he have to do it a single time and pound out Junior Tafa in the side of the first 3 or 4 minutes? Like, are you expecting him to wrestle for 15 minutes? Are you expecting this fight to go for 15 minutes?
I'm saying I'm not paying minus 230 to find out
Yeah,
Juan
yeah,
Adams.
yeah,
That's my real thing here.
Yeah.
It would be dog or pass. I'm interested to hear your take on this fight, though.
Okay, so first and foremost, yeah, you nailed it. 230 on Juan Adams is just not a great price tag. He's proven to not be trustworthy. In his last 2 fights, they gave him 2 absolute polar opposites. He took on Arjan Bular, who couldn't do nothing but wrestle, and he lost the decision in, an absolutely terrible fight. And then in his next fight against Greg Hardy, it's really, I'm not going to say one-dimensional power puncher, but at this point, he's so green himself. What else does he bring to the table? And he gets clipped inside of 45 seconds. So he's proven that you don't want, if you're going to want a better price tag than 230 if you're laying some money on this guy. However, there's no denying that it's like, as far as dog or pass goes, I don't fully agree with that because I'd have to have some faith in the dog. I have no faith in Justin Tafa. I don't understand what particularly he brings to the table. Mind you, 3-0, very green, young 25-year-old kickboxer, right? Probably should fight, I don't know, another 5-10 times before he even gets a whiff of something like a Contender Series fight. But UFC 243, it's Whitaker Adesanya. It's in Australia. He's a local Australian. He's buddies with these guys. So he ends up on the card against Jorgen De Castro and then proves exactly why.
The books have no
Shouldn't be in
respect
the
for my
UFC.
boy Jorgen. Jorgen's been a printing machine for yours truly.
Jorgen has been a fucking ATM, man. It's
Yeah.
been unbelievable. Not for me. I didn't have the 650. Was it 650? 450 on the
Was
Contender
against
Series?
Alton Cunningham?
Alton was 650, I think. But what was the return on him for Castro?
Yeah, it
there?
was like plus 600.
Holy fuck. Yeah. But then again, there's no respect for the guy.
No,
Guy can bang, man.
Yep.
Anyways, going back here, it's like, so Tafa gets clipped by him, and you're right. He gets bombed by a big old Castro overhand, but he doesn't move his head off the line. He essentially comes up short with just a winging bomb moving into the pocket and gets clipped. Essentially, he's a meme right after the knockout. Everyone's laughing about, this guy's ring IQ. Holy shit, he just swung a bomb in there. Whereas Juan Adams won a couple fights in the UFC. They gave him Arjan. Arjan was... he was a former
That
Olympic.
fight
Yeah,
sucked.
terrible. But Arjan wrestled for Team Canada at the Olympics, right? He was an Olympian, and it was a terrible fight. He went 3 rounds, bad, and then after that, he's like, okay, I got to get in shape. Tries to get in shape. Apparently, gives up the little Debbies for fight camp. Who knows if he does or not? And then loses to Greg Hardy. But the Greg Hardy fight was a high-profile fight that they were giving him. The Arjan, to a lesser extent, was kind of a high-profile fight that they're giving to him. Even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak, he's 28. He's 6'5", 6'7", or 6'5" or 6". He's a big dude, comes in at 265. There is some upside to this guy, has wrestling, is a rangy guy, can strike a little bit, whereas Tafa just shouldn't be at this level altogether. Now you mix in just the striking. This is, as far as just the striking goes, Tafa just swings bombs, whereas this guy's got a jab, he's got a right hand, he could stay to the outside, he's got a much better clinch game, he is a better wrestler, and when we're talking about how bad his cardio is, we don't even know about Tafa's cardio. He's not showing us anything other than getting blasted out inside of the first round. So I actually do agree with the price tag. It's because I don't trust Juan Adams to shoot the takedown right away. He's shown a propensity to go out there and try to fight with you standing for a little bit and then eventually clinch up. It's just like, man, your path to victory is not stand with this guy who only swings bombs. Stands, swings bombs. That's all. He has a kickboxing base. That's all he has. Just go out there, touch gloves, shoot a fucking takedown. But because I don't know that he's got the ring IQ to do that, I don't know. 2-fight losing streak, where's his confidence at? Just got knocked down 45 seconds. If one of these bombs do land, is his chin compromised? I mean, Hardy just floored him like nothing. There's a lot of question marks. At 230 is not a great price tag. But I'm not actually interested in the dog, Tafa, unless it's a punt play on DK, which we can talk about at the end of the show.
I mean, that's the scary.
And it's a punt.
That's the scary
But you could
thing.
score a lot as a punt, buddy.
And that's the thing. That's why we kind of go through and talk about DK at the end.
Yeah,
Because, like,
because it would be a good punt play.
These are the fights that in tournaments and stuff, you have to have to have a piece of it.
For sure.
And it's like, it's for instance, like last week with Burns versus Landwehr. It's just like,
I was on the wrong side of it, but we said you had to be
if
on
you're in single entry, it's like
you had to be on one side.
If you end up, single entry, it's like you have to pick a side, and we picked. I think you had Landwehr as well. Same here. It's just like, but you knew based on how that fight was going. It's just like there's only two ways for this fight to go. Now, I guess the knockout, but like a finish was going to happen at some point there.
You want to know something crazy? I got this fight in my mind. I've played it out. I'm like, okay, either he gets taken down really fast and submitted, or he doesn't get taken down and submitted. It stays standing and he fucking bombs on Burns. And then what happens? He gets taken down. He's in the nastiest anaconda. And I'm like, well, that was one of the two ways it was going to play out. He gets up.
He starts bombing on him.
He starts bombing on him. Paul, you have no idea. I was like, who was right? he ran. It wasn't like Burns tried to hit him with the knee. Burns just threw the knee in upwards motion, and Nate fucking dipped his head clean into it.
He was dead.
He was out before he hit the ground. And
dead.
dems to breaks, Paul. That's just the way fighting goes.
It's a high variance fight.
And if you play multiple lineups, you would have had exposure to both sides.
Of course.
But we're giving.
I'm talking like single
one
entry,
lineup.
that type of thing. Like
And in our DK, on our big DK contest, I did have him. It's just, thank God, like guys like Montel and Angela Hill came through and they scored more points than they were supposed to, and it kind of balanced it out. But having 2 points on Nate Landwehr was very, very bad. This fight could be the same thing. Like, you could have Juan Adams. You're going to have to pay. We don't have the pricing right now, but you have to pay a lot for Juan Adams. And could he get knocked out inside of a minute? Yeah, we just saw it. Tafa's only got one path to victory, and it's knocking him out inside of a few minutes.
Exactly.
Flip side to Tafa, it's like if he loses, he's going to get taken down and pounded on. He'll score nothing. But having exposure to both of these guys, or one of these guys, is probably the key to a winning lineup.
Mirsad Bektic takes on Dan Ige. Bektic is a minus 135 favorite. Ige can be had for plus 115. What's your take here?
Okay, this is why I love this show, because it's just me and you having a conversation between the two of us. So I'm going to put it to you straight, Paul. Are we off the Mirsad Bektic bandwagon? I mean, this guy comes to the UFC. He's 23 years old. He thrashes up Chaz Skelly. Good performance. Chaz Skelly is older. Chaz Skelly can wrestle. Chaz Skelly can grapple. Chaz Skelly's got decent striking. Mirsad Bektic looks awesome. He's 23.
Did he thrash him?
Well, he didn't thrash him, but it was
That was pretty competitive.
Right. But it's a UFC debut, right, against an established guy who had torn up the regional scene. Bektic comes out of left field. He's 23 years old. Skelly was something like 28, and he officially puts himself on the map. Since then, he's averaged like one fight a year. He had like one fight in 2016, one in 2017, two in 2018, one in 2019. We've seen him
Get knocked out.
Darren Elkins, he's putting a beating of a lifetime on Darren Elkins. Yeah, Elkins comes back. His last fight, very uninspiring. He's got all the skills. He left American Top Team, goes to TriStar, has not made any improvements, or at least anything significant since going to TriStar.
Head to Rufus Sport.
Oh, jeez. He's always battled injuries. They said he's kind of a head case. And he's taking on a guy in Dan Ige, who you can get a very nice little price tag on a plus 115 here, who matches up very well with him. He can wrestle, he can grapple, probably a better striker. He can go 3 rounds.
Spends a ton of time with my boy, Habib.
You know who he's hanging out with.
You know he's hanging out, like, what? Like,
This guy's a
Mirsad Bektic
problem.
may have a better collegiate wrestling, but what we've seen from Ige and who he trains with and stuff, like, he's going to be ready for that. Guy's on a 4-fight win streak. I question, here's the thing about Bektic, and maybe this is why he only fights once every year.
Yeah.
I think he's got serious durability issues.
Yeah, fair.
Darren Elkins
fair.
doesn't knock out really anybody, and he knocked him like clean out after absolutely taking a thrashing for 2 rounds.
The damage.
10-8, knocked out.
Yeah.
And then Emmett hits like a shit brick house.
Yeah,
These things happen in MMA, but I think there's probably a reason why this guy doesn't fight. Maybe it's the same reason why my boy Gregor Gillespie, we found out last fight that Maybe he just can't take it. And maybe that's why these guys don't fight that often, because if you get like 3 knockout losses in a row, you're out of the organization. You're not getting any of the sponsorships and all the other things that go hand in hand with being a UFC
Yeah,
fighter.
hey, that's fair. Yeah, I hear you there. And it's one of these cases where I know he has battled the injuries. And when they say he's a head case, it's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, maybe it's a confidence issue. On the outside looking in, we look at this guy and like, holy shit, he's very marketable in the sense that he'd be good for the European market, but he's built like a god. He's a good-looking guy. He can wrestle. He can strike. The Elkins fight, it's like, oh, dude, you know what? Hopefully this is a gut check performance for him and that he learned from it. And then after the Elkins fight, Godofredo Pepe, it's like, okay, that's the UFC giving you a layup here and getting you back on track. The Ricardo Lamas fight, he didn't look good. He wins a split decision, but he didn't look good. The Emmett fight, he gets starched outside in 1 round. He gets hit, big-time knockouts. It's like, damn, he got hit hard here. So now he's 28. He's not that 23-year-old prospect that we thought was going to contend for a title. He's nowhere near title contention. No. He's 28 years old. He's moved to a couple different camps. The skill set hasn't really improved. That's why I'm asking you is like, do we still think like, oh, damn.
No, I'm off.
Right. And it's different with like.
I like Ige here.
With Justin Scoggins, because it's like, damn, that was another one. I know. I just had to bring it up. I know. At least when you watch him, it's like, at least when you watch him, it's still like, damn, dude, this guy's talented. Oh, he's tapping, right? But the skill is still visibly there.
Yeah.
This guy's not shot. He's not over the hill. It's just like nothing's been refined. If he strikes for too long, he'll get clipped. Once he gets clipped, it's over for him. Just game plan goes out the window. He can take you down, but he can't hold you down. And therein becomes the problem here. Like you said, better collegiate wrestling than Dan Ige. Yes, but worse jiu-jitsu. So even if he does take him down, Ige's going to be able to scramble. Once they get back up, Ige just keeps throwing and keeps going. That last fight against Kevin Aguilar, great example. It's like, damn, this guy's making massive improvements. He's managed by the greatest manager in MMA history. He sets all of his guys up for these nice fights. He's got Khabib in his corner. He's on the top of his game, and he is an underdog. So whereas John Jones a big favorite, what are you going to do? Valentina's a massive favorite, what are you going to do? Juan Adams is he's a moderate-sized favorite, and that one's dangerous. It's like, let's get a dog here. So I'm going to say, maybe I'm not fully off the Bektic bandwagon, but the UFC they did him no favors here, and I think Ige surprises some people if he hasn't already, and I'm willing to take the dog or pass on this one.
Yep, same here. All right, next one up is just like, what are you doing to my boy here? I don't know why he's fighting at heavyweight. But we have Derek Lewis taking on Ilir Latifi. I mean, if you want to bet Latifi, and we're not even there yet, but just wait until the weigh-ins happen, because when people see the size difference, like what Ilir lists himself as like 5'10", but he's probably
he's 5'8", 5'8 and a half.
He's probably like
I'm 5'8 and a half. Let me tell you,
he's probably like
he's
5'7", and Derek Lewis is 6'4", massive. Like cuts weight to get down to 265 a lot of the times. Ilir was incredibly undersized for fighting at 205 pounds. Now he's taking on Derek Lewis. He's minus 275 favorite for Lewis, plus 235 Latifi. Like, I appreciate the cojones, the stones of my boy, the Sledgehammer, to take this fight. But, like, what are we doing here?
You remember that picture, Ilir Latifi, in all of his glory, riding the horse? And he's jacked. And he's on
the other
horseback.
one of him on top of a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Well, I'm going back to the horse one. In that picture, it's like, damn, this guy is jacked. He's huge.
He is.
But even in that picture, the most glorious picture of all time, even in that picture, comparatively, he's small compared to the horse.
Derek Lewis is the size of the horse. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay? So he's giving up a fucking lot of size. Now, here's a quick question for all the fans out here. Without you Googling it, without anything, just think about it. Name me another 5'8" heavyweight in the UFC. Who was the last guy that was 5'8" that fought at heavyweight in the UFC? And myself, the only one I could think of at the top of my head was Jeff Monson, who's 5'9" and a good 5'9". He's taller than Ilir Latifi. And do you know why you can't name a 5'8" heavyweight that fights in the UFC or that has fought in the UFC in quite some time? Because they don't exist. And why don't they exist? Because you can't be 5'8" fighting these guys that are 6'3", 6'4". Like, everything's going against you. And Latifi struggles with big guys that stand on the outside, that hit him, that eventually pressure him. He's got everything going against him in this fight.
And all
Except
these
for
things
one
say-
thing.
And
Except
all
for
these
one
things
thing.
being said, because you can go back to, I remember when we were back at Fight Network working together back in the day. Cyril Diabate
Yeah.
was taking on Ilir
yeah.
Latifi, and there were guys around the office being like, "Well, look how short he is," and we're like, "Oh, he's gonna knock out Diabate." But Diabate
He was on the way out.
was on the way out.
Muay Thai specialist.
Muay Thai
6'4",
specialist, a little and he was
205er.
chinny at that point.
Yeah, he was like 40.
But like in terms of the height disparity, pretty similar.
Fair.
But Diabate was fighting at 205
Yeah.
for that fight. Derek Lewis is that size, but as thick, if not thicker, than our boy Latifi. Like, he's giving up probably the most size of any fight I could ever in the UFC.
Yeah, and
Like,
I
it's
don't-
almost, it's like a sideshow. Like, this feels like it should be taking place in Ryzen.
Yeah. Well, you see, the UFC's got this thing lately where it's like, I don't think they really give a shit what's happening on the matchmaking side of it. So it's almost like, okay, we have so many guys in this pool. Let's put them in Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D. Okay, Latifi wants to move up. Okay, well, he was a Class B 205er, so he's a Class C heavyweight. I don't know if they got Derek Lewis in as a Class C heavyweight, but that's what the matchmaking feels like. And when I say that is, Jean Vellante is a 205er who just recently, for whatever reason, was like, I'm moving up to 205 as well. Like, realistically, he's probably like 225 pounds. They announced his first fight as well. You know who John Vellante is fighting? Ben Rothwell. Why would that make any fucking sense? Ben Rothwell is 6'4.5", 6'5", 280 pounds, cuts down to 265. Like, why would you not make him fight a medium-sized heavyweight? Why does he just fight the biggest guy? And that's the thing with Lewis. Lewis tops in as one of the bigger heavyweights in the UFC, taking on what is now effectively the smallest heavyweight in the UFC. So that is concerning. Now, there's no way. Okay, Lewis has been knocked out by fluke punches in the past. I mean, Sean Jordan caught him with that little kick. Matt Mitrione knocked him out. We have seen him get knocked out, but barring just a crazy Ilir Latifi overhand right that hits this guy, I don't see the knockout happening. So now Ilir Latifi does have massive wrestling advantage. Derek Lewis cannot wrestle to save his life. So I could see Latifi scoring a takedown, but there's two things here. There's two things there.
Yeah.
One, he cannot hold him down. Two, it's going to take a lot more out of Ilir Latifi taking Derek Lewis down
And
than
trying
it will,
to maintain
than it will for
position
Derek
against
Lewis.
a monster like this.
Yeah, than it will for Derek Lewis to get back up. Now, Lewis is like pretty notorious for knee injuries. He got that knee fixed. I guess he didn't have an ACL for a long time. Fought for a world title apparently on one knee. His last fight against Blagoy, wow, what a bad fight. But again, that's him off knee surgery. You have to assume if he is in better shape, the knee did hold up. He would have had a better camp. He at least got 3 rounds under his belt. Him coming back, I see no reason not to have Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis at 275 is realistically 45 points, more than Juan Adams. But it's like, you feel so good about Lewis, and why would you feel good about Juan Adams?
Latifi is a better opponent than Justin Tafa, but when you factor
At
in
205, sure.
when you exactly. When you factor in the size, it's like, yeah, and we're in Texas, Houston, Texas, the home of who? Derek Lewis. The hometown fight. He's actually
set up.
It's completely set up for him to win.
Set up for him to win. Yeah,
They want him to win there.
Yeah, his
balls will be hot. The whole local crowd, like, he's pretty well known, and he was helping when there was Hurricane Harvey and stuff.
Yeah,
he's well known in the community.
for sure.
Like, he's been to Houston Texans games.
He does lots of
and,
charity
like,
work too.
He does a lot of stuff in the community. He's loved in Houston, Texas. He is the local guy that they're trying to put shine on this card.
You know what? And thank you for reminding me that, because I was thinking all week, like, why does this Juan Adams fight even make sense? It's like, yeah, Juan Adams is from Texas as well. He's a local guy. Tafa's debut, he's Australian, was in Australia. They tried to set him up with one. He just failed because he's no good.
Yep.
They have no other use for this guy until they go back to Australia. That could be a while. So what do? Ship him over for another guy's homecoming. And I'm more sold on Juan Adams. You're right. Not that really makes a difference, because this is not going to the scorecards, but it's like they gave him the best possible guy they could, and I can't be sold as Tafa as a dog. Ilir Latifi, could I be sold as him as a dog? No. I could see him winning the first round, but he doesn't have great cardio, mostly because he muscles everything. His striking is not good enough to beat Derek Lewis for 15 minutes just striking, and he's giving up so much size. It's pretty ridiculous. 275 is probably going to get bigger than that as well, so consider we're doing this way in advance. So maybe this is one of those lines that people are like, I never saw 275. Unless it doesn't move, who the fuck knows? But I think it's pretty generous, considering I don't see many pass for Ilir. Could win the first round, and then after that, it's like, Lewis is one of those guys that doesn't need, even if Lewis was to lose 2 rounds, he doesn't need any more. As soon as Latifi gets tired and puts his hands down, and that's what we've been seeing lately from him, as soon as he does that, he's fucked. It's going to happen at some point. So Derek Lewis is the play.
I don't like it.
It might happen in the first, it might happen in the second, it might happen in the third, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, Austin Lingo taking on Yusuf Zalal. No odds for this one. From the limited tape study I've done on this, I mean, Austin Lingo looks like a GPP fighter. The guy comes forward, and he's just throwing like aggressive hooks and strikes. The Zalal guy, I forget the name of his opponent. He took on some like 5-5 guy who like shot him for a takedown. He hits him with a knee. And then, like, in the scramble to, like, get back to his feet because he didn't completely knock him out. Like, on the break, this kid absolutely just he gets clipped pretty good behind the ear, kind of stumbles him a little bit. From what I've watched, this Lingo, I don't really understand how Zalal ended up with a spot on a UFC card. Whereas Lingo, I could see him hanging around the organization. I feel like Lingo should smash here. I'm not sure what the odds are even going to be when it gets released. And what is DraftKings pricing or any of that, but this will be a fight that I'll be targeting on DraftKings, and Lingo will be the guy I'll be looking at. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know what the line's going to be as well. Keep in mind that they announced this fight today, and we're doing the show today, but it's set up for Austin Lingo again. I mean, this is great matchmaking if you're from Texas because they're getting a lot of favorable matchups, but Austin Lingo is from Fortis MMA, and he's not the LFA champ, but he's their number one contender at 145 pounds. His last fight, he actually headlined for them, LFA 73, Lingo versus Hadley, and he knocked out Solo Hadley in 25 seconds. So he's already headlining LFA fights at 145 pounds, in line for a title shot. We all know that's the golden ticket. And because they're scrambling, this card fell from 12 fights to 10 fights on hardly no notice. They're scrambling. We need to put something on. We got this local guy. He's undefeated. He's from Fortis, which is just lighting the game on fire right now. Perfect. He's got all the skills in the world. Perfect. So they match him up with Yusuf Zalal. Now, I didn't mind Zalal. He's a Factory X Muay Thai guy out of Denver. And he's a good striker. The problem is he seems like he's one of those strikers that grew up mostly being the hammer, and he didn't really learn how to defend himself. Now, I know a lot of boxers, even like guys like Sam Vargas, who's a local guy, like these guys can put it on you. Problem is that they don't particularly move their heads. Like they're there to get hit. That's his problem. Now, you bring up a great point with that Jamie Hernandez fight is that he didn't look good against a limited opponent on an LFA. He was like not the prelims, but like he wasn't high up on the main card, and he got that knee. He was on a 2-fight losing streak.
I think you're thinking of Kalen Williams, who took on Jeremy Holloway.
This is Yusuf Zalal. He fought Jamie Hernandez.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
No, it's all good. But looking at his record here, right? He fights his last 4 fights are for LFA.
I think the guy I was thinking about, his last name started with an M. You've got the thing in front of you. It's 5-5. M.
N?
M.
Yeah, I mean, I see Steve.
I mean, I'm not looking at your screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 5-3 Steve Merrill.
Yeah, who's now 5-5, who has lost
his
two.
Next two.
Yeah.
Okay, so lost his next 2. He submits him. Didn't look great. The Jose Mariscal fight. Mariscal was 8-3. Mariscal has lost his last 2 fights since then. Has not looked good. He lost that one by unanimous decision. Then he fought Matt Jones, career journeyman. Lost a split decision to Matt Jones. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and then he caught Jamie Hernandez with that flying knee, right? Hasn't looked all that good. Has looked fairly limited. And they're throwing him in there. Maybe he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. All of a sudden, he's got a UFC contract.
It's crazy.
He's going to go to Texas. He's going to take on the local Texas Fortis MMA fighter who seemingly has all the skills. And if you want any more than that, based on like what I can offer you at this current time, last 2 things, you could have Austin Lingo, who's physically headlining LFA cards, okay, at 145 pounds, where he's their number 1 contender. Or you could have Yusuf Zalal, who's fighting on LFA mid-range cards at 135 pounds. His last fight was a catchweight of 140 because he wasn't able to make weight. Now he's coming up to 145 against a guy that legitimately fights at 145.
I mean, the reason why
Zalal
got
I don't know what the line
card.
is. I don't know what the line is. It might be a bad line and I tell you pass, but I would say Lingo's my play.
Yeah, Zalal got on this card because there's probably not many 145-pound guys that are willing to take on Austin Lingo on such short notice.
Well, I mean, if you were 1-2, seeing your dream slip away and the UFC called you, you'd be like, come on, man, stop pranking me. But then you'd be like, holy shit, you'd fight anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
Because you know you're going to get another fight out of it. Same thing with Junior Tafa, right? Junior Tafa.
And Justin Tafa.
Sorry. Should he have taken the fight? Well, I guess Jorgen Castro is not a super menacing opponent. But all the same, it's like, dude, I'm only 3-0. You know what? This is an opportunity you don't pass. So you take it and you go and you fight. It is what it is. In this case, yeah, I've never heard of this guy. He's probably thinking, unless he knows him from LFA. But it's not like this is a big household name. It's not like this is a guy that's smoking everybody out there and making a huge name for himself, although he looks like he could be that guy. It's not a favorable matchup. He's giving up size. He's giving up the hometown turf. He's giving up the physical skill set. He's giving up all of that. And I would say Austin Lingo was probably told, keep ready in case there's an injury on the card. You're local. You're from Fortis. Stay in shape. That's why he's not saying, I need to catch weight. I'm a 45 or taking on short notice. I need to move up. He's ready to go. Whereas this other kid is coming up a weight class because he's not ready to go. All the cards are in Lingo's favor. I just don't know the line. So that's about that.
Yep. We got Trevin Giles taking on Antonio Arroyo. Giles minus 135. Arroyo plus 115. Who you got here?
Yeah, this is like actually a case of two guys I've shown some respect to in the past that just like shit my apple pie. Like, I don't know what it is. In Trevin Giles' case, it's like he never fought great guys to begin with, so it's hard to say that he was, some great prospect. It's just, man, he gasses out so goddamn fast in his fights. He doesn't really throw a whole lot. If he doesn't knock you out, kind of like the wheels fall off his game plan. Just trying to bring up his last couple here so we can have it right on point. But yeah, it's like Giles is a power puncher, has a little bit of takedown defense, doesn't have great cardio. He's one of these Texas guys, but whatever. I mean, maybe they're trying to get him back on track. He is a former LFA champ. He has some good fights in LFA, Ryan Spann, whatever. Comes to UFC 2-2. The 2 wins, bad fights. I mean, James Boknovic should have never been there. The fight with Antonio Braga Nito, he won. He finished him late, but it was a very sloppy fight. And Nito had been off for like 4 years.
Producer A-Rap's favorite fight? Favorite fighter.
He was so shocked. Great jiu-jitsu, by the way. He still does jiu-jitsu now. He's really fat now, though. But I was like, it wasn't a great performance. The Zach Cummings fight, I'm in on him. He tires really fast. He could have potentially still won that fight, even though it was slipping away from him. And then he gets dropped and submitted with the guillotine choke. So it's like, okay, he tired, he got floored, he got submitted. That's like the trifecta of things that you don't want in a guy when you're moving forward to bet them. Dumb me bets them because he draws Gerald Mearshart. Mearshart's not physically strong enough to take this guy down. And if he can't take him down, he's not going to submit him if he doesn't take him down. And he's not going to strike with him. Fair enough. Okay. The thing is that Mearshart's got a great gas tank. And this guy doesn't. So you push a pace on him and he just breaks. That's his problem, is that he breaks when you put the pace on him. Arroyo's pretty one-dimensional with the grappling game. He would require him to take this fight to the ground. I don't think he's physically strong enough, nor does he have the wrestling to take him down. But does a world exist where he just tires him out and Giles' shit goes down south?
They end up against the side of the cage and he kind of just he just kind of drags him down?
Yeah, or eventually, the guy's tired, he throws a kick.
Grabs a leg, he trips a little bit.
Yeah, and the problem with these guys is like they'll stuff 5 takedowns and like that one shitty little trip that works, it's like they're too tired to now explode and get back up. So they just accept the position. And once they accept the position, things don't go their way. Now when Arroyo fought in the Contender Series against Steven Regman, he looked okay, got the submission, and it kind of showed me he's a fairly one-dimensional grappling guy, but he's a good athlete and he's got a developing striking skill set. So now he makes his UFC debut against Andre Muniz. Now, I'm tape studying this, and Muniz is very one-dimensional with his grappling. His wrestling is nothing to write home about. This guy Arroyo can wrestle. He's a better striker. He'll keep the fight standing. He'll strike with this guy. Man, he was just taken down at will. And he gave just the absolute worst account of himself against Andre Muniz that I'm officially not labeling him a grappler now. He does not want to grapple. So now he's getting a fight against Trevin Giles where at least he won't have to grapple. Unless he decides to, throw it. But I'm not sold on him as a grappler. He's going to have to now strike with Trevin Giles. And his striking don't look like anything to write home about. If he has a better gas tank, he can make this greasy. But Trevin Giles, even though he's giving up late finishes, or even though he's getting tired and his game's just falling off the wheels late, he's young enough that he can make some improvements. He's getting this hometown effort. And as long as he goes out there and gives a decent account of himself for the first couple rounds, he'll squeak out some shitty split decision. 135 is a great price tag on him because truthfully, I thought he seemingly has a better skill set. He is at home. 2-fight losing streak I could do without, but he's taking on a guy that's 0-1 in the UFC. Yeah, I would expect a better price, like maybe 145, 155. So 135 is tempting. But he's just, when you don't have a gas tank, you don't have submission defense, and maybe you're a tad bit suspect in the chin department, very hard to put your hard-earned money on the guy. So the smart play would probably be the pass. But I do think Trevin Giles gets the victory here.
We got Alex Morono taking on Kalen Williams. Alex Morono and him do not, because this is, it was supposed to be Diego Lima versus Morono.
Which all Texas fight would have been fun.
Williams coming in on very, very short notice. Another guy with not the most amount of tape that you could actually watch. I was trying to watch a couple fights before, and a lot of them were from his amateur days. And like, because he's from Michigan, those guys in Michigan, they have
it looks like a pro fight.
Absurd number of amateur fights. Like these guys are not getting paid, but they've got like 20. These guys in Michigan get like 20 amateur fights before they even ever go pro.
No
like,
headgear, no shin guards.
Yeah,
it's basically
it's
a pro
literally
fight.
pro MMA. Just, you're not paying you
and
shit.
They're like, hey, it's 6-ounce glove, and you're like, the difference is very, very.
That guy's still very concussed as he's been knocked out.
Yeah, your shin physically had no protection whatsoever. So yeah, no, I hear you.
Not sure what they're gonna line this at, but I mean, Morono's on a 3-fight winning streak ever since meeting the death touch of Nico Price. And I think he has more paths to victory. We are also in Texas, so this goes to the judges' scorecards. Giddy up. Of course, Kalen Williams probably could land a big bomb on him, but I think Alex Morono gets the job done here. I'd be interested to see the price. I have no idea how they're going to price this fight, but Alex Morono is the pick, especially... he could really take advantage of some grappling holes in Williams' game as well. What's your take here?
It's a short notice offering for sure. Diego Lima versus Alex Morono would have been real fun because Diego Lima is a striker. Morono can strike, but mostly you'd think he'd try to get that fight to the ground, and he's always giving it his full effort. Yeah, fun fight. Now you're getting Kalen Chaos the Ox Fighter. That's actually his name.
The Ox Fighter.
Well, it's Chaos the Ox Fighter. Even SureDog lists it as Chaos the Ox Fighter. Tapology lists it as Chaos / the Ox Fighter. Local Michigan guy, like if you're local to the scene, I suppose he's local. But I don't know him, and I know a lot of Michigan guys. And I noticed that he's fighting on those WXC Warrior Wednesday cards. They're on Fight Pass. So if you want to tape study this guy, like his last number of fights are on Fight Pass, just go to the WXC events. But he's fighting outside of Jeremy Holloway. He's fighting like very limited competition. He fought my boy Tony Hervey this year, like earlier this year. But Tony Hervey, 17-20, so far gone from like his prime days. Since then, couple small victories over guys with losing records. And then Jeremy Holloway at least is a Bellator veteran. Jeremy Holloway at least is a guy that's at a mid-level, and he gets the decision over Jeremy Holloway, and not some type of spectacular fight. When you look at the tape on him, he seems to be very raw. He moves forward. He swings bombs. If you're going to be that type of brawling fighter, you're going to be that type of Mike Perry, you need big power. And he doesn't have that big power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he went PJ Kajahas, I don't know how you pronounce it. The guy was 7-7. The fight went the distance. Tony Hervey was 17-20. The fight went the distance. His last fight against Jeremy Holloway, who's the first guy that actually had semblance of a skill set, fight went the distance. So, and by the way, Hervey's not a 170. I mean, that was a big mismatch there. So it's like, you know what? I don't think he's the type of brawler that's going to go out and clip Morono, and that's the way he's going to have to beat Alex Morono. And when we say clip Morono, it's like one guy, to our knowledge, we didn't watch that fight where he lost prior to coming to the UFC, but like outside of him getting melted by literally seemingly the finest power puncher I've ever seen in my life, Nico the fucking hybrid Price, guy has the touch of death. Outside of him getting melted that one time, like his chin does hold up. He's a BJJ black belt, decent BJJ black belt. His cardio checks out. He can swing bombs too.
I don't believe there was a fight.
Berkman?
Yeah. So I don't believe that.
That was right after he got melted.
Yeah, but his BJJ black belt, it's not a selling point for me.
It's not a selling point for me when I consider, you know what, Alex Morono is not fighting the best of the best, but Alex Morono also shows fights with Keita Nakamura, who's just like super durable, the most experienced guy. Fucking Jordan Mean. Jordan Mean had 32 pro fights. Berkman had a ton of fights himself. But Song Kanon, right? People were decent on him as like a building up Chinese prospect. He beats him. Zach Otto, just a journeyman, whatever. Smoked Zach Otto out. The way you smoke out a journeyman that's not on your level did exactly that to him. Whereas if Zach Otto took a fight with Kalen Williams, it would most certainly either go to decision or Zach Otto would actually be competitive, this guy, in my personal opinion. And then the fight with Max Griffin, it's like Max Griffin's a guy making a name for himself. He's long, rangy. He's young enough. He trains at a good camp. He's making improvements. It's like Morono he's a gatekeeper, but he's the kind of gatekeeper that you want, you know? He's going to give a young prospect rounds. He's going to give a savvy veteran a fucking ass kicking. And mid-range guys, he's a great litmus test for them.
Yep.
But this guy's he's not a rising prospect. He's got an okay looking record, but he's not at that level. I don't know the odds, but I would say Morono's the one thing. There's always a one thing with me. You know that. The one thing is like, Morono tends to fight to his opponent's level, and he's also been known to brawl. And it is entirely possible that he's at home, he's in front of the Texans fans, he wants to put on a show, but he has a full camp, so he's more prepared to put on a show than this guy who's probably thinking, shit, Daquan made the UFC, so can I. And I'm just going to go out and bomb him.
I'm just here to collect 12 grand.
Yeah. I won't give him the opportunity to Bavon Lewis me against the fence for 3 rounds. I'm just going to try to wing bombs for 6 minutes and get my follow-up fight with a full camp down the road.
We got Andrea KGB Lee taking on Lauren Murphy. Andrea Lee minus 340. Lauren Murphy plus 280. I feel like every time Andrea Lee fights, I don't think I've ever bet her.
Wow, they
her
make
prices
it. They
are
don't
always
make it
very,
tempting.
very big. I faded her last time out against JoJo Calderwood. That one worked out, but every other time, yeah, she's like minus 300, minus 400. They make it very difficult. But Lauren Murphy is not exactly a world-class athlete. But hey, fools on me, because last time out she got a second round finish, absolute like knockout, which I never really saw coming.
I don't think she did either. That's why they call her Lucky
She's a
Lauren
grinder.
Murphy.
Andrea Lee, she's definitely going to have a speed advantage over top of Lauren Murphy here. Power, grit. I mean, it could get dicey. I don't want to lay minus 340 on Andrea Lee. I can tell you that much. What about you?
Yeah, I think the UFC kind of dropped the ball on the Andrea Lee fight here. It's actually kind of a fun fight, and it should be on the main card. I say that because, like, Andrea Lee's a very pretty girl. She's from Texas. I mean, Louisiana, but she spent a lot of time in Texas. She's going to have a good little following out there. She's coming off the one loss, but, like, this is the kind of person you throw on the main card. It looks good. Instead, you got Juan Adams versus Justin Tafa. Like, they combined for 0-3 in their last 3. The Lewis fight, he's from Texas, and he's just such a fan favorite. You have to have on.
That's a pay-per-view opener if I've ever seen
that's fantastic stuff. But like comparatively speaking, it's like I could see them slipping this on just to give them a little bit of airtime.
They may
Instead,
actually slot this one up to like the prelims, feature prelim. That's what I would think they would do. Because like right now, based on what it is on Tapology, Austin Lingo versus Yusuf Zalal is in that order. There's no way that ends up being the feature prelim.
Okay, fair. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
No, I just went through. I just went on Tapology and listed the fights as I see them there.
No, that makes 100%. Because I saw the same thing you did. I saw that's how it was listed, and I'm like, well, I guess they really like this Lingo kid, but like, why would that be your featured prelim? You have no time to market it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know what? They probably have some bout order changes to make.
Yeah,
still.
for sure.
Okay, so all that aside, it's like I do have Andrea Lee. I think that she's the stronger fighter. I think it's going to be really hard for Lauren Murphy to take her down. And if this ends up being a striking affair, whereas Lauren Murphy's very gritty, she's very in your face, she's very, durable, so to speak. She's not very technical, she's not very smooth, but like there is some upside to her striking. She's largely outgunned here on the strikes. Now, when you look at the Joanne Calderwood fights, like Calderwood largely frustrated Andrea Lee. She gave her a lot of problems. She kind of exposed her a little bit, so to speak. But Lauren Murphy's just not the same Lauren Murphy that she was a couple of years ago. She's 36 years old now. She got into MMA late. Her style is a very grinding style. And yeah, she did look good against Barella in the sense that she put her through a decent little beating and got that late finish. But prior to that, we were just, the opinion is, here's a girl that is hard to get along with. I mean, you saw her on The Ultimate Fighter. It's like none of the coaches want anything to do with her. She kind of had an attitude problem. Then she comes to the UFC, she had lost to Nico Montano on the show, loses to Sinhara Eubanks, and just looks very lethargic, and then comes back with that win. Like, I could see all the arguments in the world for you don't want no Lauren Murphy, but this is an outrageous price tag. $340 for Andrea Lee, who I thought largely was kind of exposed, so to speak, in her last fight. Like, can she grapple? Yeah. But is she a great grappler? No. Even in her Invicta fight, she wasn't a great grappler. Can she strike? Yes. But if Lauren Murphy's in her face and she's up against the cage, and Lauren Murphy doesn't have to get the takedown, she's just got to be continuously shooting the takedown, and it's going to make it a problem. Now, yeah, because there's going to be a lot of fan favorite towards Andrea Lee. Maybe if this is a greasy fight and it goes to decision, then she's going to get the decision. But 340 for a greasy decision, I want no part of that.
No.
So I would say I do believe that Andrea Lee should win the fight. I do believe she should be the favorite. I see the path to victory for her. But 340 is a very unappealing price tag.
Dogger
no part
pass.
Of that. No part of that one.
We got Miles Johns taking on Mario Bautista. Miles Johns minus 135. Mario Bautista plus 115. What's your take here?
This is a great fight, actually. I'm really into this fight. I think that it's a prospect versus prospect. Both guys are 25 years old. Both guys seemingly have a pretty bright future ahead of them, and they're getting paired up on, you know, a good, tough little prelim scrap to see who moves ahead. I think Mario Bautista is going to come through here. I got him as another dog play. I think that where both guys kind of match up similarly, I think he's just going to have a little more in the striking department. Now, Miles John has the wrestling advantage. Mario Bautista probably has the striking advantage. Normally, I would go with the wrestler. But Johns has problems holding guys down. You saw that in his Cole Smith fight, where it's like he didn't look particularly good. Went to Cole Smith's backyard for the fight. Took the fight on short notice. But it's like he can wrestle, but he doesn't particularly hold the guys down great. He doesn't got a great submission game. As far as his striking goes, he can strike, but he kind of lacks a little bit of power, and he's hittable. The more he gets hit, he just starts to wear it a little bit. And I think that's going to be a problem with Mario Bautista over time. Bautista, they did him no favors. He debuts on short notice against Corey Sandhagen, and, you know, he got armbarred. Yeah. Took him down, but he got armbarred. And then his follow-up performance against, like, Jinsu.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Jinsu Sun.
Jinsu Sun
He sunned him.
also got no favors because he debuted against Peter Yan.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy shit, man. This kid landed like 130 significant strikes. He did get taken down twice, got back up both times. He's good at scrambling. He's out of the MMA lab. He's 25 years old. He's making a lot of improvements. I see a bright future for this kid. And it's not that I don't see it with Miles Johns, but I've been exposed to a lot of Miles Johns throughout his regional show career and now his one fight in the UFC. And it's like the skills there, but it's one of those... He's an athletic wrestler boxer who on paper is a great athlete and is going to go places, but like deep down when this becomes a greasy scrap, I don't think he's going to be the one that pulls ahead. Now I've probably sounded like a fool telling you on this card, oh man, you're going to want Juan Adams. He's the Texas guy. You're going to want Derek Lewis, the Texas guy. You're going to want Lingo, the Texas guy. You're going to want Trevin Giles, the Texas guy. You're going to want Alex Morono, the Texas guy. Andrea Lee's Louisiana, but she's going to have a lot of faithful there, and I do got Lee. It's like, fuck that theory's out the window here. I think that Bautista does enough to either beat him on the scorecards, probably has to rely. I think it's going to go 3. He's going to have to win it on the scorecards. He's going to have to do more than a squeaky split decision. But I feel like they match up similar. But he's got a slightly better advanced skill set. He's got a slightly better striking skill set. He's got a slightly better, I don't want to say cardio, but just like his durability's better. So if this does become a scrap, he should hold up. It's kind of like that Arnold Allen fight. Or which fight was it on the weekend? It was just like a back and forth grappling match. Oh, it was, God damn it. Forget it. Anyways.
Allen versus Lentz was not really a back
No.
and forth.
That's why as soon as I said Arnold Allen, I was like, no, that was no takedowns in that fight. Man, we watched so many fights. It's just like, I gotta check it now because it's seriously bugging me. But if it becomes a fight where it's just like a war of attrition, you're going back and forth, it's gonna come down to who's gonna be able to pull out in those like deeper moments. And then I feel like that's where Bautista's gonna shine. It'll be a very competitive first round. The second round should be competitive, but he should start to pull it out. And then the third round, he'll do enough to pick up that 29-28. And then just because this is bugging me and I got to get it out.
Now I've got to know too.
Yeah, I know. And as soon as I say it, I'll be like, man, I'm such an idiot. But I'm rolling right past events. Let's see. Last card was Blaze dos Santos. And the fight was Brett Johns versus Tony Gravely. So it's grappler versus grappler. And Gravely has the wrestling advantage. He's a collegiate wrestler. He's got great cardio. He's got all of that. Brett Johns, he's the
has
judo
the
guy.
actual submission skill advantage, actual submission and jiu-jitsu advantage.
He had the judo advantage. He had the jiu-jitsu advantage, let's say.
Like
Gravely had the
that was
wrestling
pretty
advantage.
severe once they got to the mat.
But did you see the pace on that fight? It was reckless. It was Sakuraba versus Carlos Newton. It was fucking intense. And it was like they just kept so entertaining, man. Like that's why MMA is the best. Because of grappling exchanges like that. It was intense, but that was like a test of wills. It's like you're trying to break the guy. And it's not that Tony Gravely, he's a 25-fight veteran. It's not that he doesn't have cardio. It's not that he doesn't have wrestling. It's not that he doesn't all these things. It's like they matched up similar. In the first 2 rounds, super competitive. But in the third rounds, Johns broke him. Took him down, submitted him. That rear naked choke, he had tried that rear naked choke a pile of times in the fight. Didn't come close. In the third round, he broke him. He got the rear naked choke. I don't know that Bautista is going to finish Miles Johns, but I think there's going to be a breaking point in this fight for either fighter, and I think Bautista comes out on the flip side of that.
We got Domingo Pilarte taking on Journey Newson. Pilarte minus 140, Newson plus 120. Pilarte lost to Felipe Colares, who you will remember from last week.
The most legendary chin of all.
Yeah, that guy just doesn't die.
I was nuts.
He does not have very much talent or skill. But against Domingo Pilarte, he was able to win most of the grappling exchanges. And when he does get hit, we saw against Montel Jackson, who is considerably better than Domingo Pilarte, that kid can just take an absolute thrashing. I haven't put too very much thought into this matchup, to be perfectly honest. I know that I've got a real sour taste in my mouth from having Pilarte on parlays from
at 325.
325 against Colares and him absolutely shitting in the apple pies. So yeah, I'm a hard guy to get the trust back from. Maybe you have an idea here, or have you even looked into this fight all that much?
Yeah, I've actually flipped on this fight twice.
We're doing this a little bit earlier than usual.
No, so. I know. I've flipped on this fight twice, and that's why it's probably going to end up being a pass to me. Maybe I could still make that argument for dog or pass, but the thing is that both guys got a good path to victory. One guy just let you down for 325, so you can't have too much faith. But, I mean, also, Journey Newson hasn't really shown off a ton of his skills. Like, you didn't really get a great account of him in his UFC debut versus Domingo Pilarte, who won that Contender Series fight, and then in his UFC debut probably didn't give a great account of himself as well, right? So it's like both guys are kind of at a strange point in their careers. They're both 30. Neither of them are going to be world beaters. Pilarte's super big. He's super long, and he's hittable. That's like the one thing I've got to say that it's going to be an issue for him, is that if the fight stays standing, he kind of leaves his chin up there. On his fight, so going into the Contender Series fight, he wins on LFA, split decision win in LFA, comes against Vince Morales on Contender Series. In that first round, dude, this guy's southpaw, big left hand. He's lighting up Vince Morales like nothing. Vince Morales, Team Alpha Male guy. In the late, maybe like midway through the first, his hands are down, his head's up, and he's reckless. And he walks right into a big Vince Morales shot, and he gets buckled. He gets dropped initially, and then from that point on, Vince Morales takes over and kicks his ass the rest of that first round. You can score the first round either way. It's the tale of one round, really. It's like one guy kicked the one guy's ass for 2.5 minutes. The other guy came back and kicked his ass for 2.5 minutes. In the second round, it's very competitive until eventually he tries to take him down. He doesn't want to strike anymore. His left eye's swelling up shut. He's got a cut. He tries to shoot a takedown. Can't get the fight to the ground. Catches a kick. Fight gets the ground, gets the rear naked choke. Fun fight. Glad he got a contract. This guy's going to be entertaining. Bring him to the UFC. You give him a fight against Corrales. Corrales is already 0-1 in the UFC. He's a 325 favorite, Pilarte is. You can still make an argument that Pilarte did win that fight. Ultimately, he lost a split decision. It wasn't the first round he loses, right? He's getting outstruck, and whenever Corrales wants him up against the fence, it's like so effortless. He's so tall and lanky. He's not strong. Right up against the fence. When the fight does hit the ground, he's transitioning. He's getting some scrambles. He's getting reversals. He's getting sweeps. He's trying submissions. And then in the second round, more of the same, close round. In the third round, he wins for sure. He's got Corrales' back for like 4 minutes, but he can't submit him. So it's like not that he gave a bad of account of himself. The problem is that I go back to the fact that he was very hittable against Vince Morales. And the thing with Jeremy Newson is it's easy to fade Newson and be like, man, what's this guy got? That Ricardo Ramos fight took on short notice. This kid's a wrestler boxer, right? Or not a wrestler boxer. He started training at 6 years old. He's a boxer. His dad used to be a pro boxer, right? This kid starts doing jiu-jitsu, boxing, taekwondo at 6. Then he goes through a bunch of group homes, has a rough life, finally finds MMA. You watch him now, it's the same 3 things. He's got good hands. He's got good power in his hands, fundamentally good boxing. He's still got this taekwondo background where he'll throw spinning shit. When he does kick, it's a lot of flashy kicks. And he's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a well-rounded cookie-cutter fighter. Cookie-cutter's not going to win you a title. Cookie-cutter's not going to get you a second and third contract in the UFC. But cookie-cutter could be effective if the other guy's lacking skills. And the one thing with Jeremy Newson is he's got big power in his hands. So I'm saying pass because I started on Pilarte. Pilarte, he can strike. He's long, he's rangy. He's going to peel this guy down and he's going to submit him. But when you watch Newson versus Ricardo Ramos, he does get taken down a pile of times. And Ramos can grapple. Ramos has got good submissions. Ramos can't submit Newson. Newson keeps getting back up. Newson, if he's able to keep Pilarte standing, and this is just a striking battle, he's going to have opportunities to land that kick. But that punch, sorry. But going back, it's like Pilarte is the better submission fighter. Newson's the better striker. Neither guy's particularly a good wrestler, although I give a slight advantage to Pilarte, and he's the minus 140. So you see how I'm flip-flopping just right there? It's a pass. This is a pass fight. There's better fights to bet on this card. I would say your best course of action is it probably will be entertaining, but just walk away.
Andre Ewell versus Jonathan Martinez, minus 140, plus 120. Same exact type of line. Interesting matchup, to say the very least. Ewell, I don't know of any person that's really had more of a, oh, maybe this guy's something than like him beating down the corpse of Renan Barão. Like that seemed like, oh, maybe this guy may be something. Then following fights, you're like, it's Renan Barão's just dead. Jonathan Martinez opens up his UFC tenure, losing to Andre Sukumatov.
Yeah.
Not a good look. And then follows it up with wins over Woojli Burin and Pingwan Liu. It's like this is the bottom of the barrel in the UFC that he's beaten up on. Good for him getting the wins over those types of guys. Another fight that I don't have a great read on. Andre Ewell, obviously long.
Yeah, he's very long for the division.
Very long, very, very fast. But I don't know. I really don't have a great take on this fight. I think these early fights in general, like when we move over to DraftKings, these early fights, if this is like the bout order of it, like all three of these ones, Miles Johns versus
Oh, that
Bautista.
fight's sick.
No, I know, but like I don't know if you necessarily will be playing a lot of these early fights on DraftKings, to be perfectly honest.
I hear you there.
Which will be nice for me not to be drawing dead after like the first couple fights on the card. Do you have a strong hard take on Martinez, or should we move along?
You know, I wouldn't say a strong hard take, but yeah, I got the dog here. I got Jonathan Martinez. He's plus 120. I think that's a dog play that I would probably say he would be my dog of the week. Well, Dan Ige plus 115 could be the dog of the week. But there's a lot of people on Dan Ige, so he might mush that one. Minus 120 on Martinez is not too bad. But we'll go through it quickly here. So both guys are kind of at different points, whereas it seems like they're just two middling guys in the UFC that got fights against each other. It's like there's at least a little bit of a story here. Andre Ewell is the beneficiary of a great debut, but he comes into the UFC, he's already 30 years old. He hasn't looked particularly great on the regional scene. He gets sent to Brazil to lose to Renan Barão. Only he doesn't lose to Renan Barão. He gets the corpse of Renan Barão. He pulls off the victory in Brazil against Renan Barão. And now, just like that, it's just like you are a UFC fighter with a big win. But since then, it's like still limited skill set. He loses to Nathaniel Wood. He beat Anderson Dos Santos, who I'm so low on, it's ridiculous. And then he loses to Marlon Vera. Was finished against Nathaniel Wood by submission. Was finished by Marlon Vera by TKO. Was finished by Nathaniel Wood in the third round. Was finished by Marlon Vera in the third round. Doesn't have great cardio. He's now 32 years old. He's 1-2 since the Renan Barão fight. He doesn't fit anywhere in the UFC. All he is tall, rangy, but doesn't have the power to back it up. He can't keep you off him if you want to move forward. Okay, flip side to that, you got Martinez. Martinez loses his debut. He doesn't have that big flashy debut, but he's only 25 years old. And when you watch his subsequent performances, yeah, he fights Woojli Burin.
Pingwan Liu.
Yeah, he's a little more impressive. He's training at Team Alpha Male. The fight was in China. He was the favorite. But Martinez can strike. He's a decent striker. He's fast. He's got good cardio. Again, where I'm saying one guy's 32, hasn't been looking good on his way out. This kid's 25, making improvements, looking better. Did you need anything else? Oh yeah, Plainview, Texas. He's the local guy. He's opening the card out, presumably. That's what we have it as. Before all the changes, I think it was the opener anyways. And I think he gets the victory. I think he can outstrike Andre Ewell standing. The fight likely doesn't go to the ground. He's just going to outwork him. The first round will be competitive. The second round and the third round, I feel like Martinez wins those and either wins a 30-27 or wins a 29-28. But because we roll into the DraftKings portion, even though that'll be quick, we have nothing.
If we don't have prices and we have odds and stuff, obviously.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what Martinez is priced at, but like if he's going to finish Ewell, he's going to have to push that pace on him for 3 rounds and finish him late.
It'll probably be like 7,700 with like 80. If the odds stay similar by the time the DraftKings pricing gets released, he'll probably be in the range of, based on how this all shakes out, he'll be like 7,700 and Ewell would be like 85.
Yeah.
So Martinez would be the play.
Yeah, and the fun thing there, and this is kind of MMA math, which obviously doesn't work, but the fun thing there is like Ewell lost both of those fights in which he was finished by third round finish. Martinez's last fight against Pingwan Liu. was a third round finish. It's like he can push the type of pace required to break Ewell, and we've seen that happen from Ewell. And do I think Nathaniel Wood's a better fighter than Jonathan Martinez? Yeah. And do I think maybe Ewell's been fighting some tougher competition? Yeah. But I think the Texas guy, the young Texas prospect who should be making improvements here, is going to get the victory over the local California import that's kind of out of it.
All right,
he's from the East Coast, I think Ewell is. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he's from. It's just, again, he's Riverside, California. Yeah, okay. Yeah, California boy.
All right, we'll just rip through these fights from a DraftKings perspective. John Jones will be the second. Well, likely. We don't have, obviously, odds for Lingo or the Morono fight, but John Jones is going to be over 9K, 91, 92, maybe 94. If you have Shevchenko at like 96, are you paying up for John Jones in that spot?
No. You had a sweet bet one time, right? And this is where I learned my lesson. You had a fucking sweet bet one time. It was a parlay. All 6 legs hit. The 7th one was Jones by decision against OSP, which everybody was like, that's the walk in the park. And all your other legs came through. And like he didn't even attempt to do anything remotely close to try to finish that fight. And then you look at his last 2 fights, and it's like, same thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a killer instinct, and that is not, he's going to be such a big price on DraftKings. I don't want that. Valentina Shevchenko, she's going to be a huge price tag, and Caitlin's going to run away the whole time.
Caitlin, when she's like 8,100 is a bad play. Like,
Yeah,
there's
no
I know
flip
that,
side
like,
there. Even if she goes 5,
this
it does not
situation,
matter.
she's going to be like 66. But
It
if she
doesn't.
goes, I guess this would be the one situation. If somehow, by the graces of God, she won a 5-round decision, most of the air in front of Valentina's face would be beaten up. Maybe the guy calculating at fight metric gives her a few extra strikes over the course of 5 rounds. Maybe she would get over 66 points. Like, I've never said this before, but maybe if Caitlin Chookagian won, which I don't have any confidence in that happening, this would be the one time that maybe she actually pays off the price
who
tag.
knows?
But every other fight, because she's usually like, minus 200, minus 170, that type of thing. And every single time she's like, oh, she's 8,600. There's no way she scores 86 points. There's no way you can roster her.
No. So
But never 2K again.
So I personally-
never 2K again on DraftKings. Like, that's just.
I personally
live
avoid
by that.
those top 2 big ones, and in doing so, you're kind of avoiding the bottom 2 ones. Because even if we talked about
If
Reyes,
you avoid the main and the co-main event, especially in that
I think you
100K
do.
to first contest, I mean, that probably differentiates you where you can kind of play everybody else.
well, that's the thing, is that those are the 2 big favorites, and then everybody else kind of falls in line. Oh, and here's the extra kicker: the 3rd biggest favorite is presumably going to be Andrea Lee, and like, I don't like her either.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go
Balanced build.
target those ones. Now here's where things get a little bit greasy: is that Juan Adams, even though he's now the 4th biggest favorite, I don't like him, but I need exposure to that fight.
Yeah.
So I'd likely start my roster with Juan Adams, or if you're going to take Tafa, then you starting your lineup fantastic.
Derek Lewis.
Because yeah. So now you. Oh yeah, right. Sorry, that's the 4th biggest favorite. Then Juan Adams. So you go with Derek Lewis. You go with Juan Adams. Those are probably your 2 big plays if you're going to use those guys. We don't know what Lingo is. Lingo could get a finish.
Yeah.
Martinez could get
His
that late
odds
finish.
could be bigger than we think at the time of this recording.
Yeah,
too.
and I think Martinez at plus 120 could score big for you, and he's going to be cheap. Mario Bautista at plus 115. This is a cash game. I think you could stack this on a cash game, or I think at the very least you take just the dog on the cash game. He's going to get you points. There's going to be takedowns, scrambles, significant strikes. I think he'll do enough to do okay there. On the GPP side of it, I don't. Even he could win the fight as a dog. I don't think he does. Maybe I'd have to see the price.
I just don't see him scoring like 100 points. And basically,
Yeah, but that might not matter,
You
man,
need
if it's-
100 points from most of these underdogs, especially because these guys are going to be like 82, or 82, 80.
Journey
or
Newson
8,200
and
8,000.
Pilarte is interesting because both guys got finish potential. I could 100% see Pilarte submitting Jeremy Newson. I could 100% see Journey Newson landing some big bomb and knocking out Domenico Pilarte. Even though I don't trust that fight as far as I can throw it, you might want to consider having some type of exposure to it. Morono, if he fights a good game plan, he's got all the skills to get the finish in this one. But that one's also very risque. It just depends if you're playing cash, you're playing GPP, you're playing a big contest. The thing with the contest that we're in is it's like the first it's 3 legs to get past that first stage. 180 people start, 160 people make it past the first stage. So you don't play GPP lineup in these because you're not trying to hit a GPP. You're just literally trying to.
I have, and I've been doing terrible.
You've been playing GPP. I noticed you've been playing GPP lineups.
But
you're
now,
just trying to get by the first 20.
I'm not in the
people.
bottom 20.
So just
I'm
play
not,
a cash game.
I'm go big or go home.
I got like
which has not been a great strategy. I'm in danger zone. So like I'm gonna
You'll
be playing
be
a
okay.
GPP
You'll be
lineup
okay.
again, baby. I'm gonna have to get after it.
No, see, in that
Hopefully
case, I finished
score
like
big. If I get eliminated the first round, it's pretty embarrassing.
No, I finished like 43rd week 1 and like 66th last week. But mind you, I had Nate Landwehr who scored 2 points. So it was still impressive enough to go 66 out of 180, all things considered. You have one lineup to do it. But I'm trying to play it safe to try to get through the next stages. And then once the risk taking comes into place, then you're going to go down that road.
Yeah, so the way I'm looking at it is we got Juan Adams and Tafa. I want exposure to that fight.
Yeah.
I'll probably
Ige
versus Mirsad. Maybe if they
value.
fit.
There's so many good value
If they
plays.
fit, for sure, I'll have some exposure. But like that's not my favorite. Like, I mean, Derek Lewis is
Let me see your pen quick.
definitely a knockout, high knockout potential. I like what I see from Austin Lingo. The way that he fights, comes forward, and he's just throwing haze every single time he gets out there. So that's a guy that I don't know what his price will be. Hopefully it's reasonable, and hopefully people don't play him because he's not very well known, but everyone ends up on the same plays these days anyway. Giles Arroyo, I haven't put very much thought. I mean,
I hit a hard pass on that one.
the inside the distance on that is basically close to a pick'em. So there could be some merit to those guys in tournaments, but not one that I really love. Morono, I think he rolls here, and he's got multiple paths to victory. So I'll be on him. And then, you kind of wrapped up the guys at the bottom of the card here.
Yeah, so for dogs that I'm looking for on the money line this week, Ige, Bautista, Martinez. On DK, I think Ige, Bautista, Martinez could also have upside. I like Ige, Martinez a little more than Bautista, but I like those. And then your punts would be Newson and Tafa. Tafa, better punt because he could knock him out in the first round, and he's going to be a way better price tag, given that he's a plus 190. And then our greasy Pogi Rob rundown
The
parlay.
PRP, hit him with it.
PRP, baby. We're going to go a lot of favorites on the top, a lot of dogs on the bottom. John Jones, Valentina Shevchenko, Juan Adams, Dan Ige, Derek Lewis, Austin Lingo, Trevin Giles, Alex Morono, Andrea Lee, Mario Bautista. I'm going to go Domingo Pilarte. And then I'm going to finish with the dog on Jonathan Martinez. So we've got 3 dogs and...
How much time you got before you train?
Missed the last one, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, Paul.
All right, explain this fans-only thing to me. So obviously, anybody who hasn't seen it, Beck Rawlings and Jessica Penne have PG.
Never would I
as
ever
Cody.
thunk.
Well, you said this, as Cody pointed out. I guess it's PG-13, so they're showing they show their what is this exactly? It's sort of like people pay a subscription to get like
Side boob.
To get like side boob pics.
Yeah, but see, I don't understand it because at first I thought it was full X-rated. I was like, oh, right on. But
Like, I feel like such a boomer not knowing what this stuff
how could you
is.
possibly? If I was like, yo, dude, $20, I give you a dick pic, and you did buy it. What's to stop you from just putting the dick pic online?
Mm-hmm.
And now nobody else is going to pay the money. That was my initial reaction. Was just like, man, how are they going to get money out of this? But ultimately, it's just like, listen, sex sells. You got Beck Rawlings, who they're saying that her BKB career is flourishing. Her BKB career is flourishing, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked really bad in her Bellator debut, getting subbed by a knee bar in the first round, her last time out. So, like, shit's not going particularly well there. She is a mother, by the way, and a single mother, and she's got shit going on. She needs the money. Her, because she's got that kind of style and look, I could see people paying for
Being
it.
into that look.
Right?
Yeah.
The Jessica Penne one, she just got a 4-year USADA ban. She obviously needs the money. I don't understand that one fully.
This is a gate. To me, this feels like a gateway. This is a gateway to porn.
This is smart. No, well, I don't know. If
Is
it's a
it
gateway
smart?
Yeah.
If this was your sister, what would you think?
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you 2 things, actually. I'll tell you
I
two
mean,
things here.
they're full-grown
No,
women.
no,
They are
no,
allowed
yeah.
to do what
The
they want.
first thing
Anybody
is-
listening, if you are an OnlyFans, that's what it's
No,
for,
I got 2
fans
things.
only.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you are on their thing, good on you. That's what you're into. Like, I'm not gonna tell full-grown adults what they should and shouldn't do, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
It's
my number one
super
thing.
greasy.
the two things I
If it
got
was my
on
sister,
there.
I'd be ashamed.
Okay, fair enough. I'm glad you brought that up. The two things there. First of all, doesn't matter what my religion is or my political beliefs. What I truly believe is like, it's not you, then it's not your fucking business.
It is
right?
not my business.
If she wants to go and put up pictures online, or if whoever wants to do whatever the fuck they want with their own life, their own body, by all means. Now, the people that are paying for it, if they want to pay for it, that's on them because it's their fucking thing.
I agree with
So
all
the fact that a bunch of people signed up shows that there's people that were willing to pay and she's willing to do it. Right off the table, there's no morals, there's no ethic. That's none of my business, right? Again, if the fact that she's a mother and if people want to point that shit out, don't worry about somebody else's
I don't worry about
life,
that.
right?
They
just
can
don't.
collect the money if they want. That
But
doesn't
the
mean that I have to
second
be on
thing is-
board
I know,
with it.
I know, which is why I'm going to hit you with the second thing here,
Okay,
Paul.
hit me with the second thing.
Young Paul Shaughnessy, young Cody Saftic, College of Sports Media. Just a couple weed lads coming up in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We get an opportunity to do a radio round table. I'm sure they wanted to talk about hockey or who cares, but we hijack it. We decide to talk a little MMA.
Yep.
We're doing the show. Women's fight, Strike Force. I bring it up. You, Paul Shaughnessy.
was years ago.
I'm disgusted that women are
Time
allowed
to-
to fight.
I mean-
I think of my sister. Your exact fucking words.
It's true.
I think of my sister. Would I want to see my sister get beat up? Fast forward. Paul loves women's MMA. You're down. They go for it. It's entertaining. All the respect in the world. High-level athletes. Tatiana Suarez, your baby. Times change, right? It's just like, it was their choice to fight. Who gives a shit?
So let me
It was
get
their choice.
this right.
Her, she wants to show a little side boob. She wants to show all the boob. Again, her fucking thing. But the one thing I will leave you with is this is a case, something I created called Home Depot syndrome, right? Beck Rawlings and Jessica Panay are not hot individuals. If you put them next to hot individuals, you would very clearly see that. However, they compete in the sport of MMA, where they're surrounded by very unfortunate-looking individuals. So it's just like when you go to Home Depot. It's like that chick working at Home Depot is not good-looking. But comparatively speaking to the other people in this Home Depot right now, she's fucking hot.
I mean, your Home Depot thing is the same as what I would call bush goggles. So I did 6 years of tree planting. I'm a shade under 1 million trees put into the ground throughout my university career and all of that. I planted trees, and that's how I made money to get to where I am now. I am in a Hall of Fame. One Hall of Fame on Earth for tree planting.
That's fucking badass.
We call it bush goggles. So it's like week one, you're just like, there is no way that I would do that.
In the real world.
And then in general.
Yeah.
Year two, you're like, well,
She doesn't look that bad.
she's lost about 10 pounds. We've been working real hard. Like a month into it, the bush goggles really, really kick in.
Oh, yeah.
And you do things that you would probably never have done
Because
before.
compared to all the other options,
Yeah.
this one's clearly looking like the best one. And I'm very quick to say, oh, my baby, Joanny and Jacek, my real baby, Aspen Lad. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, if they were on the Victoria's Secret runway, like, I just don't know that they'd fit in, right? And that fucking hurts me to say that, Paul, because then my babies, ride or dies. But it's just like, you know, I'm a realist at the end of the day. I got to consider. So the Beck Rawlings thing, it's just like, dog.
They're allowed to
you
do
can
whatever
go-
they want to do. You guys are allowed to like
Yeah,
what
but you
you
could
are
go-
going to like. I'm not going to stop anybody from collecting money off of this thing. Maybe all I'm saying is it's just not my thing.
All I'm saying is you could easily go watch.
I mean, there's fucking porn
I'm
everywhere.
saying,
You
you
can
can
watch
go-
porn.
you could
You
go
want to see
watch.
full boob?
You
You're
watch.
paying to see side boob?
Boob. You could watch some bugged up shit on the internet, my
Yeah.
friend. But yeah, you can go watch Cagney for free. You can go watch Sophie D or Gianna Michaels. You can go watch Lauren Phillips. Tattoos are your thing? No problem. You have Christine Mack. You have all these different girls. Bonnie Rotten, whatever. Pamela Peaks. All I'm saying is there's options. You don't have to pay
It's Annabelle
$19.99.
Peaks is the one that you're talking about.
Pamela Peaks is an escort agency, but I don't use it. It's an American one, but she used to represent a bunch of porn stars
Annabelle
back in the
Peaks
day.
is, yeah.
Yeah, Annabelle Peaks. She's a hot MILF, and she's tatted up, big fat titties.
Yep.
Yeah, why would you be paying for Beck? Although Beck Rawlings got her fakies done too, so
Yeah.
you know what?
And I guess only the fans only
I guess
are gonna.
I guess I'm
get a
just gonna
piece of the
have
pie.
to. I'm just gonna have to man up and buy the fan
$20.
only, and then I'll let you guys know on a further Dogger Pass review. I'll let you know if it's a Dogger Pass situation on the pick side of things.
It sounds good. All right, that was Cody Saftic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for breaking down the fights as always. We had our boy Zach. He was back. behind the sticks for this episode. I'd like to give a thanks to Zach Pencer. Forget his Twitter handle. I'll have that written down for next episode. But anyway, for Cody and Zach, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!